I would like to show you guys something that came up in a job interview, and I think it's just really kind of interesting because I was going for a job, and the interviewer challenged me that I said on my resume that I can parse out deeply nested JSON with Spark. So I just, in case anybody has any doubts about this, I always thought this was a really simple thing to do, and I always thought everybody knew how to do this, but I mean, it's really trivial. So I just decided to make a video about this. So let's say we have this document. This document is downloaded from PubMed. PubMed is a database of scientific papers in various fields of biology, medicine, and so on. And this is about broccoli sprouts. And so as you guys can see, it's a relatively simple document. It has a deeply nested structure, but I mean, you can go very, very deep. It can be much deeper than this, and it really just has two text fields that you care about. So to create a data frame out of this that's just two-dimensional and that you can work with and then load it, you really only have to do the following. I would like to show so basically you're reading the data frame, which is this JSON file. Now make sure that if you look at a document like this, you change it back to how it was, because if you try to read it like in a pretty format, it's going to give you a corrupt record. It's not going to be able to parse it, because that's not what it's expecting. It's expecting this entire thing is one row in the context of this document. So really, when you have a document like this, often what you have is you have one row with a deeply nested structure of fields. And so that's why you have to make sure you don't ruin that by pretty formatting it. And when I run this, let me just show basically the structure of this. Is if you let Spark infer the structure, then this is what comes out. If you do, so as you guys can see, when I read this in, I don't give it a schema. Basically, what you do is, let's say your job is, and I had this task, and this was what the job interview was about. I was talking about a task where I had to parse out PubMed and the PubMed documents. We were ingesting PubMed documents for mining. It was a healthcare kind of setting, and so basically I started by loading up the documents from PubMed without any schema, and then once you have a schema, you print out the schema, you save the schema, and then you load it from that point on with a schema. So you basically create a production pipeline that keeps doing this. Once you have a schema that works, and that has good error reporting, and then it doesn't work, you should get an error message that's descriptive enough that you go back and you add the missing field. Unfortunately, it's an iterative process like that. But I was able to go pretty fast with it, and I ended up with a schema. You eventually have to use a schema. So that's why what you guys see here is initially I load this without a schema, and then once I have the schema, right? This is the schema, I get the schema. Once I get the schema, I load it with the schema, because without a schema, it's very slow, and it's also not very good computer science. If, it's just kind of works sometimes, kind of doesn't. So you want a schema, and then next time you go back, let's say a week from now, this kind of document produces an error. You missed a field, and you have to load it again without a schema. Look at the schema, do a diff on the printed out schema, and change it to the new schema. So now you know what happened, what field you missed. So basically that's the process. That's how you parse out a large database of deeply structured nested JSON documents that you don't have the schema of, and your job is to get valuable information out of it. So to get back to our original problem, here the only thing that we care about is really text. Text is the only thing. So what I did here was, let's go back. So what I did here was I loaded up without a schema, and I loaded up with the schema that I saved. And then I explode first document, and then I explode, documents exploded packages. So first I explode documents. So what explode does, in case, so if you guys are not familiar with it, what explode does is it turns an array, a field that's an array, into a column. It's kind of like, think of it as an inner join. So if you think about it, when you have an array in a record, that's really like an inner join detail table. So what this does, it explodes it, and it creates columns out of the fields of that array, and it really now looks like an inner join. And so first I do a documents exploded out of documents, and then I take documents exploded passages, because now when I explode that, then I'm gonna have a passages substructure underneath it. I have I'm gonna explode that, and I create passages exploded, and from passages exploded, I can select text. So this is what it's gonna look like. If I select text, let's see if I run this. Actually, yeah. Then it's just going to give me, well, I ran it already, so it's just going to give me the field, the result for those text fields, which is great. So this is how you get valuable information out of a deeply nested document. Now, if you wanted to, I was playing with it here a little bit, because if you wanted to see some of the other fields, then you have to add those to the select, right? Obviously, if you only select text, the other pieces will disappear, because select will only get you what you specifically asked for. So let's run this. So now I'm gonna have two columns. One is gonna be the big passages column, which was exploded. Okay, and there's the result. So now we have two columns. So that's what needs to be done. It's very easy to explode to nested columns, deeply nested fields from a JSON structure with Spark. And just two things to watch out for. One of them is you have to make sure that you do not explode empty arrays, because when you do exploding of arrays, it's like an inner join, and inner joining with an empty structure produces a zero result, and you will end up with a table that has 0 rows in it. That's one thing. The other thing is performance. Explode is a projection. It does a projection that is expensive. And if you can work with the arrays directly using the dot notation, then that's probably a much faster way of working with the data structure. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.